Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Zach.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Victor. And this is the podcast where you get out of here. You go on now. You get. We don't want you around here anymore.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
It sounded like it was gonna go through on the house that you and, or the place that you and Shelby were gonna.
The trailer?
Oh yeah, was it a trailer?
The place that Shelby's friend was going to purchase, right?
That's what we talked about last. It sounded like that.
The fixer-upper.
It sounded like that was gonna go through last we talked.
Okay, that was a few updates ago.
Yeah.
God, I've lost track of like who I've updated with what at this point. Shit has just been changing like so rapid fire.
So you're in Costa Rica.
Yeah, so I had to fake my own death and start a new life. No, we're in Colorado, so the trailer did not go through. I mean, the offer was accepted, but then Shelby's friend had an inspector come in, and it was more than a fixer-upper. It was a straight-up money pit. Is that the expression?
It's a terror downer.
The terror, it was straight up, like, pretty much condemned. It would have just been tens of thousands of more dollars than she was going to spend on it in the first place. The house equivalent of totaled.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were packing up to go to Colorado, and then last minute we found a living situation that might be perfect, and then that didn't work out. So it's been a real roller coaster.
Yeah. So where are you now in Colorado?
I'm at Shelby's.
Staying with family?
Yeah, I'm at Shelby's mom's house.
Okay. So like, how are you feeling about things?
Stressed. I mean, we've only been in Colorado for 2 days, so
Gotcha.
getting settled in and just not sure, what day-to-day life is going to look like, but at least the clock is done ticking, like.
Sure, yeah.
This is going to be the situation for a minute.
Yeah, so are you going to, be looking for work there or,
Yeah, going to have to.
Yeah.
I'll still be flying. There's one more episode of Weaponized in season 1, and I have plane tickets, so I'll be going back to LA for a couple days to do that next month, and then we'll see what happens with season 2.
Yeah.
Cool.
But in the meantime, I can't just slowly eat away at the finite amount of money that I have, so I'll have to figure something out.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, big changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have some family out in Colorado, right? Am I misremembering?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Right, yeah. So are you guys near where your family is, or is it totally different part of Colorado?
Oh, it's just like an hour south.
Okay, cool. So you're kind of back near family. That's good.
Yeah. Well, my dad is an hour north of here. My sister's in Denver, so we're in a suburb of Denver called Arvada. So I'm close to my sister, reasonably close to my dad. The rest of everyone else lives up in Wyoming, but.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, new chapter. Whole new world to figure out there. Or this old world in some ways, right?
This chapter looks surprising or suspiciously familiar. I left Colorado for Seattle in October of 2019.
Wow.
And then left Seattle for LA in October of 2021. So it's been just like every 2 Octobers, there's another big change.
Yeah, you gotta start thinking about where the next October will bring you. The 2025 October, where you guys gonna land?
What about you guys? Just plugging away and expecting baby world?
Pretty much.
It's getting very real.
Does the due date become more specific as you get closer?
No, the due date is just an estimate it's 40 weeks from your estimated conception, which is we're pretty sure we know exactly which day that happened. It could happen anywhere between 37 and 42 weeks from that day. So
it's not.
We've only had sex one time, so
yeah, that's how we know.
The day.
So it's not like with ultrasounds or anything they can narrow that down anymore.
No, they have They do have measurements that they can take, but it's really, really inaccurate. Like, they're just guessing, honestly.
It's kind of when the baby decides.
Yeah.
Our gut is it'll be sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
But the window would be
3 weeks from tomorrow will be officially full term.
Yeah, that's like
So
you can
early
expect
December?
a baby.
Yeah. Like December 7th through early January is kind of the window.
okay.
Due date's at the end of December, but we think maybe it'll happen earlier than that.
Well, I hope it's not on Christmas.
Right?
No one likes having a Christmas birthday. I've known a few people with
Yeah.
Christmas birthdays and they hate it.
Yeah. There's a few dates to avoid too. Like my sister and my dad are both December birthdays. So
Yeah, I feel like
we
anything
will see.
like a week leading up to Christmas is like, it's hard to have a birthday party because everyone's out of town.
Right.
Mm.
I feel like we'll just do half birthday. Like a half birthday thing.
Oh, celebrate in June.
Why not?
Yeah, it's feeling really real though, and we're about to be able to start setting up the nursery and everything. So
Well, that's exciting.
yeah,
You guys
we're looking forward to really bunkering down.
are really moving forward in life. And I'm moving backward.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it that.
You guys are having a baby. I'm becoming a baby.
We're moving backward in our own way.
Like emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. Our relationship's about to take a huge hit.
Yeah, yeah.
As long as you guys accept that now and just prepare for the worst.
Mm.
That's usually the best strategy.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Gonna
hopefully.
start spending a lot of time in the wood shop, just whittling stuff whittling in the shop.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use any of these power tools.
Just
We
going
had a baby and he got really into whittling.
in long walks.
Whittle the whole chessboard.
Whittle.
In other news, we got our first like real listener submission
Yeah.
that
Nice.
is not somebody that we know.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to see that. So
I feel like we should have like a musical sting there.
Listener dream submission.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
I made a whole folder for listener submissions and I put it in there. You see it on the side there? It's on the
Oh, you
bottom.
did?
There it is.
And it's got one in there. How
Howdy doody.
neat.
It's not one of our friends or family that we bugged.
Yep.
Oh, is this a podcast?
Yeah, they have their own dream podcast too.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
It's cool connecting with Dream Pod people.
Yeah, that's been really cool.
Should we dive into it? Should I start reading it?
Were you able to get like the follow-up information or the contextual information?
I kind of didn't have to ask for it. They kind of gave it.
Yeah. Like it's if they're
As a person who has their own dream podcast, I guess they probably get it.
they probably know what's up. Yeah. Did they include the podcast? Should we
Yeah, we'll read the email and we'll plug them.
plug them up?
Okay. So
Plug
this
'em
is
up.
let's get them plugged. So this was sent to us from the It's Just a Dream podcast. So thank you for sending that over. And I'll just read it top to bottom. Greetings. I hope this email finds you in good health and spirits. My name is H. I've been listening since episode 2 and really enjoy the podcast a lot. Your dreams are so different from mine, so I find the content quite refreshing. I've never had a poop dream before, and never even thought people did have poop dreams until I started listening.
What?
Makes sense, though. Everybody does poop. Plus, the intro song is a freaking bop. Nice. I have a podcast where I share dreams, but it focuses more on storytelling than analyzing. I've been wanting to send you guys a dream for a while so you can analyze it, but I've been a bit hesitant as my dreams can be disturbing. I'm quite used to them as my dreams have always been like this for as long as I can remember. Still, I didn't want to freak you out or anything. But last night I had a dream when I woke up. There was only one thought I had in my head. I have to send this to the Jung and the Restless pod. So here I am. Don't worry about going easy on me. I am not made of sugar. I can handle it.
This is so exciting. I'm so excited about this.
I think you skimmed it a little bit. Are you excited about the content, or am I wrong? Is this all new to you?
Yeah, I'm excited about this, and I'm just excited to have someone send in a dream, and it's a very cool dream. Cool.
All right, the dream started with me running. I didn't know where I was running to, or why, or even who I was running from. I must have been running on autopilot for a while as my lungs were burning and my legs were on the verge of giving out. I couldn't stop running, though. I needed to keep running, but I didn't know why. I had found myself in the park square in a town that I didn't recognize. It was the middle of the night and no one was there. The air was perfectly cool, not too hot, not too cold. I remember thinking it was a perfect night for a walk. Was that why I was there? To take a walk? Then why was I running? I was really confused. I must have gotten turned around, I kept saying to myself. I must have gotten turned around and I need to go back now. But I didn't know where I needed to go. I didn't know where I was. There were a few street lamps in the park, and I stopped at one of them to catch my breath. I was on the verge of passing out, but I knew I couldn't. I needed to keep going. I just couldn't figure out where. That's when I realized that I could feel the cold pavement under my feet. I looked down and I was barefoot. Why was I barefoot? Where are my shoes? I took a second to take a look at my appearance. I was barefoot and I was wearing a gray sleeping gown. This wasn't my gown. I know this wasn't my gown. I own a red sleeping gown and an orange sleeping gown, even a cheetah gray print sleeping gown that is very ugly, and I've been meaning to get rid of it, but not this sleeping gown. This wasn't mine. Why was I wearing it? I felt myself start to hyperventilate. I was so confused, and now I was getting scared. I suddenly felt like I was being watched, so I start to spin around, looking everywhere. No one was there. The park was empty, but I felt like I was being watched. It's time to go back now, I said to myself. You've gotten turned around, and it's time to go back now. I remember finding it strange that I was wording it like that. This isn't a way I would speak. I would have said something more along the lines of, yo, what the actual fuck is going on? It felt like I was repeating something that was said to me, like a parrot. A song started to play. I don't know where it was coming from. There were no speakers in the park. The song playing was A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square. Oh, yeah, sorry. I paused too soon. A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square, but it was at 0.25 speed, and the pitch was significantly lower than the original song. The same line kept playing in a loop. That certain night, the night we met, there was magic abroad in the air. There were angels dining at the Ritz, and a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. I only know that song from the end of Good Omens.
Yeah, they go on to talk about that.
Despite the song playing loudly throughout, there was a stillness in the air that sent shivers down my spine. I started to run again. I needed to leave. I kept running and running, looking behind my back every few seconds frantically as I was sure I was being followed. No one was there. I needed to get out of there. No matter how far I ran, I kept finding myself at the same street lamp just standing there blankly, like I had forgotten the reason why I was running in the first place. It kept happening over and over again, and I kept forgetting more and more things. My head was killing me. I had a horrible headache. The song was getting louder and louder, and the only line repeating was, and a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. It was getting so loud. It felt like it was trying to bore into my skull. My head hurt so much, my ears were ringing. It was so painful, I just wanted it to stop. I don't think I've ever experienced real pain in my dreams. Have you guys?
Yeah, a couple times.
Only a couple of times.
Couple times?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually stomach ache. Like if I have a stomach ache in real life, I can feel it in the dream.
I feel like I had injuries that hurt, but
Gotcha. My ears were ringing. It was so painful, I just wanted it to stop. I remember clutching my ears in pain and falling to my knees. I closed my eyes and screamed in pain. I couldn't even hear myself scream. All I could hear was the song. And then everything stopped. I opened my eyes and I was standing again at the street lamp, staring blankly at it. I don't know where I was or how I got there. Was I supposed to be there? I remember feeling the cold pavement under my feet and noticing how smooth it was and thinking how nice the weather was. Not too hot, not too cold. The perfect weather for a walk. I closed my eyes and breathed in the air. It was so crisp and fresh. I started walking. I didn't know where I was going, but I really wanted to go for a walk, so I walked. I walked aimlessly for what felt like hours. I couldn't remember anything. I didn't even remember my name or who I was. Anytime I tried to think back, I would get a painful banging in my brain and have to sit down. I gave up after a while. It's me, I kept repeating to myself over and over again. I'm me, silly. That's all I'll ever be. But it didn't sound like my voice speaking. I was just parroting, repeating phrases. I suddenly had the strong feeling to turn around. When I did, I saw something. A man or a creature running full speed at me. It kind of looked like a man in a gray tracksuit running on all fours, but it also kind of looked like his skin was just gray, and he just had humanoid features, like a skinwalker. I couldn't tell. He was running too fast. A mix of terror and panic overcame me. I wanted to run away. This thing was going to hurt me and I needed to get away. But I didn't run. Instead, my body contorted and began to run full speed at the creature against my will. Every fiber of my being was screaming to run away, and yet my body was running full speed at this thing. A thought popped into my head. I can take this creature. That was not me thinking this. Whatever was controlling me was thinking this. My ass knew for a fact that I could not take this creature and did not want to at all. The creature's hand met my chest and slammed me into the ground. All the air was knocked out of me and I couldn't breathe. I was trying desperately to get air in, but I couldn't. It started to drag me. I was trying to kick and scream, but I couldn't. My body wouldn't let me and I couldn't breathe. Then I woke up.
This is such a breath of fresh air compared to me reading my fucking dream journal that I write at like 3 a.m. and it's full of typos.
Yeah, it's well written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, H.
Read like a creepypasta. Spooky spaghetti
Yeah.
squash.
Yeah.
I've seen that creepy gray guy in my dreams too.
Wait, really?
Have you?
Something like that, like a humanoid, gray skinned, like walking on all fours.
Does he run
That's
at you?
scary.
I don't know. It only happened a couple times. I described it as the rake, though. If you look up that creepypasta,
we have
creature.
talked about one of those dreams of yours.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing when they described that. Yeah. So H, look up the rake and let us know if that is anything like the creature you saw, because that'd be creepy if it's the same thing.
So should I get into the additional context?
Should we get into context? Should we do first impressions? What do you guys think?
Let's do context.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, despite this dream, I have been having a good week. I did watch Good Omens a day ago, so that's probably why the song was in my dream, though this isn't the first time that song has appeared in a dream. And so, like, at the end of season 1 of Good Omens, they make a thing about how they go to have a meal at the Ritz, like it says in the song, and then they play the song at the end. So
It's a great show.
it's a good show. Yeah.
The first season is a great show.
And then it says, this is kind of strange because before Good Omens, I only ever heard the song once in high school when a choir teacher sang it. So it's so weird that it stuck so deeply in my brain. My sleep schedule is fucked, so I haven't been getting much sleep, and I know that can lead to more disturbing dreams. I wouldn't call this a nightmare, though, as my nightmares are far worse, but it was very stressful and scary. When I woke up, my head was killing me, too. My family has been pressuring me to do things I'm not comfortable doing, like changing career paths or wanting to marry me off. They can be a bit controlling. I'm not trying to get upset with them, as they're just trying to do what is best for me. I just politely tell them no and keep it pushing. I think I know what this dream means, but I would love to hear what you guys think. Let me know if you have any questions or need any more information. I'm excited to hear from you guys. Thanks, H.
I feel like the first thing, like the main thing that stands out to me about this dream is throughout there's like an element of not being in control of what's happening.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah.
And like having someone else's words in your head and then the running towards the creature against your will. All feels like a feeling of a lack of control over your life or yourself.
Yeah, I'm not sure that
In
I've
what
ever
aspect?
experienced that in a dream, like feeling like a puppet. Or,
Yeah, I don't know that I have either. I've experienced like being a different character, kind of losing my sense of self and being somebody else, but I've never kind of felt like I was being puppeted around.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
yeah, or
I guess
like
sometimes you're
I've tried to do stuff and not been able to. Like
Right.
the physics or the environment is prohibitive, but the idea that like, and sometimes I've even had thoughts in a dream that I'm vaguely aware are because of the dream, like a semi-lucid state. You know what I mean? But never like they've been put there telepathically or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, having thoughts that aren't your own is kind of really creepy. That's interesting.
That's like such an astute observation to have from within a dream, you know? And I feel like that's what I really love about this dream is there's like so much detail. It's very vivid. And actually, like, I think it kind of maybe inspired a dream that I had too. Like after I read this, I had a dream where there was a moment where I was like feeling the cold under my feet and noticing it and being like, oh, I've never noticed that in a dream. And it kind of made me lucid.
Yeah, that's weird too.
It was the night after I read this email.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The idea of feeling cold pavement on your feet feels very hyper vivid for a dream.
Another thing that like just going back to the like the lack of control or like having somebody else being in control, the part about the like the nightgown that wasn't theirs, or like them noticing like, hang on a second, I don't own this color of this isn't mine. That something we talked about recently was like clothes that aren't yours, or like having someone else changing your clothes for you or something. I think there maybe is part of that in the clothes entry where it's like you're wearing somebody else's.
Yeah, I've had a few dreams like
clothing.
that recently.
Yeah.
What color was the nightgown?
I feel
think they said gray.
Yeah, and gray was the color of the man as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how
Okay.
I'm going to find this running monster. I guess just monster. For the Dream Bible entries, I've got running, barefoot, nightgown, gray, control, and monsters.
I think a couple that I picked out were lost clothes and headache that I would add to that, and particularly someone else's clothing.
So where should I start?
Well, so since we don't have H here with us to like tell us what resonates, maybe we like go through, maybe we prioritize them, like pick like maybe the 3 or 4 biggest symbols and like try and see if we can relate it back to the additional context that they provided.
Yeah, I would say my first thought about the context they provided, like it's in the same vein as what you were talking about, Liv, but like they're expressing that they have like a controlling family, or that they're being like driven to do certain things, and they're seems like they're dealing with it well, but still that being connected to losing your sense of identity, being compelled to do things and think things from within the dream feels like it's a little on the nose maybe, but it feels connected.
Definitely. I feel like that's like the big thing, and it'll just maybe be kind of interesting to see how our Dream Bible entries like support that maybe.
And maybe if they can help us like come to a theory on what the monster is and why, like if that's what the interpretation is that we go with, that the controlling family, or like feeling a bit out of control of your own life, then what does being steered towards a monster mean?
Right. And if the monster is like most dream symbols seem to be like a part of yourself, what that could be.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that we've talked about how in nightmares they say to run towards what scares you, but that implies that you're taking like some sort of lucid control of the narrative, but H felt like they wanted to run away, but they were being piloted towards it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting clash with the dynamic that's potentially at play.
Yeah.
And then also the thinking like at last minute before they collide, you know what, I think I can take this. I think I can do this. And then being immediately like, nope, flattened.
Yeah, I think like they felt like that impulse that they could face the monster is like not coming from within them. Like they at the same time like felt like this thing that was controlling them, or these like invasive thoughts were like wanting to face the monster and thinking you'd take the monster. And then H was like terrified of doing that, would have done the opposite.
Let's hear running.
Yeah, so running, it doesn't immediately jump out, but we've got to dream of running towards something represents your anxiousness, eagerness, or a feeling of importance that something should happen as soon as possible. It may also reflect desperation or a fear of losing something. To dream of running and feeling that you can't go fast, I don't think that came up. To dream of running away from something represents your wish to avoid a situation. But it seems like, H found themselves running, but not knowing why. And at the end, like being compelled to run towards something.
Yeah, but there was also at the beginning, they were running and they heard a voice in their head telling them that they had to go back. And they felt like that wasn't coming from them. So like maybe they were running away from something, but the voice was telling them not to or to go back. But there's this whole like element of like amnesia, which is super interesting, and like not knowing where you were going or where you were coming from, and feeling lost, looks like.
Yeah, there's a forgetting entry, which is interesting. To dream of forgetting to do something that reflect feelings of oversights, neglect, or distractions, lost opportunities, having let someone down. To dream of an object being forgotten objects, forgetting your baby. To dream of forgetting information in a dream often mirrors waking life. It may also problems. The reality of a situation is not fully sunk in yet. Embarrassment that something you've done in waking life can't be easily repeated. And then there's forgetting your gun, forgetting to wear a hat, forgetting a child.
Could we look at under clothing? Is there wearing someone else's clothes?
Let me look. So clothing generally represents how personality is being expressed or portrayed in various situations. Clothing can symbolize different aspects of your character, current emotional state, and the roles you assume in a situation. Consider the style, value, and color of the clothing for additional meaning. Someone wearing your clothes.
Right off the bat with that, though, like H was thinking, I have a bright red gown, and I even have a cheetah print gown, but I don't have a gray gown. And to me, that, like, I don't know, just if I'm to guess, like, those colors are, vivid and bright and like maybe a unique expression of H's personality. And gray is maybe not something they would choose to wear.
What was the subcontext of clothing that you wanted me to look for?
Clothes that aren't yours.
Clothes that aren't yours.
Or something similar to that if it's in there.
Buying new clothes, receiving clothes as a gift. It's not a gift, right? To dream of someone wearing your clothes, being well dressed.
Did you look up
changing clothes?
Did you look up a nightgown?
Yes. Yeah, we've got a nightgown.
I was just scanning that one. It seems related to the lack of control theme.
Oh, interesting. Well, let's hear that.
Yeah, you want to read it?
Sure. To dream of a nightgown represents a wonderful or charming degree of acceptance, doing whatever someone else wants or needs, while consciously pretending to ignore their problems. Making someone else feel good no matter how they treat you, intelligently being supportive of others even if they are troubled because you want to keep a relationship happy.
It's like people pleasing.
Yeah, alternatively, a nightgown may represent you or someone else that thinks it's wonderful to never believe that anything is wrong. It may also symbolize a wonderful or charming person that's supportive or accepting of you while pretending to ignore your problems. It may also reflect an attempt to make others feel good by choosing to ignore their problems. Negatively, a nightgown may symbolize total compliance while pretending to be stupid. It may even symbolize a wonderful person that never questions or criticizes you, no matter what you say or do to them. Subordinate, willful blindness. Total supportive behavior that is pretending there isn't an ulterior motive. Being too giving. Liking someone too much to the point of letting them abuse your good nature. So yeah, a lot of people pleasing and overly compliant, kind of submissive.
Or like being manipulative even in your like capitulation or whatever, it's like never pushing back, kind of going along with what someone says to manipulate them, it seemed like. But yeah, people pleasing. And then I pulled up gray, since gray seemed to be like a really common theme.
Yeah.
To dream of dark gray represents sadness, depression, ill health, fear, or confusion, a general feeling of unhappiness, feeling like a loser, a state of mind that doesn't feel good. You may feel emotionally distant, isolated, or detached. It may also reflect loneliness or feeling gray, being unhappy and not caring about trying to find a positive solution. Lack of fun. Maybe like kind of a depressive state.
Light gray represents situations in your life that are less than terrible. You may be surprised that a bad situation hasn't gotten worse. Boredom.
It's funny because that's kind of how H described this dream. Like, it wasn't good, but compared to the other shit I dreamed.
I was picturing light gray. I don't know why, but...
Right. There's a positively entry for light gray, but I don't know that it seemed positive. It seems like they were distressed.
It seemed positive.
Had this gray nightgown because they knew it wasn't theirs, and
the gray
whole thing
monster
felt alienating.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So if the nightgown represents like people pleasing or like over compliance or whatever, then that feels connected to kind of what we were saying about maybe feeling like a pressure from people to try and steer your life, right? Family trying to steer your life.
Yeah.
Potentially even like an apathy about that.
Yeah. Another thing that stuck out to me was being barefoot. To dream of being barefoot represents situations where you're aware of your morals or basic principles being tested. Moral conduct or honest behavior is being noticed by others. You can't hide the truth of who you are as a person to yourself or others. Faithfulness or honesty is being displayed to others. So positively bare feet may reflect a willingness to change core beliefs or have your values tested in front of others. Negatively, being barefoot may reflect a loss of principles, integrity, or morals. It may also reflect low self-esteem or a lack of confidence, having casual sex. Just thrown in there at the end. You may be experiencing vulnerability to negative influences, situations in your life that open the door to corruption or challenges that you are not ready for. It may also an open attitude to changing your values. I don't know.
That was which one?
Barefoot. So, I mean, there's definitely like similar themes emerging from these entries, right? I mean, not to read too much into that one line of their context, but like the nightgown represents overcompliance. Gray represents kind of like a depressive or down state. And then like barefoot, the sentry says you can't hide the truth of who you are as a person to yourself or others, right? So it's like you're being asked to change or being asked to suppress some aspect of yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
Seems connected.
It
Seems
does.
all connected.
Experiencing vulnerability to negative influences also feels like it touches on that. And it doesn't necessarily seem like, the negative influences, I guess, but like in the way that family like wants things for you that they see as what's best for you, but you maybe don't agree or see it the same way, right?
Yeah, or if it's being experienced as like draining,
Yeah.
or like it's a weight on you that you're having to deal with, even if you know that it's coming from a good place, it might be,
I mean, I can definitely relate to that, like pressure from family to operate a certain way can feel like really stressful and like hard to navigate in a way that, I don't know, what comes up for me is like feeling responsible for making them happy. I think that's a pretty common situation.
Realizing it's hard to come up with. I mean, maybe it just is that this dream is about the context that they gave us, but I'm having a hard time finding a potential alternate meaning.
I don't think we need to look for an alternate meaning. Without them here to tell us like, oh, actually that really resonates about this other thing. There's no way for us to like really guess at that,
Right. Yeah.
But,
I'm just commenting on the nature of like doing it from the Dream Bible.
Sure.
So I don't know. Like the monster entry, for example, is, as you can imagine, really long, and there's a lot of different. I mean, that's one of the most common nightmares.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of stuff in here that could, that could fit the context that they gave us, or pretty much any other bad feeling. Like one sentence is, authority figures with the power to make decisions for you that ruin your fun. Like that's one that definitely fits. Students of very strict parents or people who are overachievers may dream of monsters to reflect someone or something that forces them to work hard or live with standards that feel unfair or excessive.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if we're finding these common themes in the Dream Bible because they're there and that's what this dream is about, or if because that's the context we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can be a little bit of both, but I do think some of the entries are only really offering one meaning or one interpretation, and they do seem to kind of fit what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
And it does kind of seem like that's probably what H thinks this dream is about.
Right.
That feels like the piece of like ongoing life context that was offered to us as like as a point of reference.
Yeah.
I know that they said that they woke up with a headache, so maybe the headache is just a physical experience that they were having while they were dreaming, but I'd be curious to see
that was my thought on it.
That entry.
Same thing with the song, because they had heard it recently.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it was slowed down, and the music
that's so
entry is
spooky.
like all about like the vibe of the music that you're hearing is it informs the dream, right?
Yeah, it says here to dream of a headache represents a problem or nuisance that you don't like having to put up with all the time. A distracting problem, annoyance, or burden that you feel forced to think about. A real problem, something or someone that is giving you a headache. Feeling that a problem is too much work, endless frustration, or annoyance. Also, it may not be the family stuff necessarily, right? But it does seem like there's a lot of stuff here pointing to like themes of like being, persistently bothered by something or something kind of keeping H down a little bit.
Yeah.
H feeling worn down by something.
Pressured, oppressed.
The annoyance or burden that you feel forced to think about really feels like resonant with the family stuff.
Yeah. And if it's not the family stuff, it's something of that caliber. Right. Because if it wasn't family or someone you cared about, you could just ignore it. You know what I mean? And you may even like consciously be like, I don't need to heed whatever they're saying. I don't need to get married right now or whatever. But because it's your family, you're going to take it on a more personal, deeper level.
And those two things they mentioned, like their family pressuring them to get married and also pressuring them to change careers, right? Can point to, well, like maybe there's stress coming from relationship stuff, right? Totally separate from your family, but maybe relationship stuff has been difficult, or maybe career stuff has been difficult, or whatever. But there's some persistent problem that seems to be hanging over H's head.
Did it say pushing them to, or it sounded like that they were pressuring them
They use the term marry off.
marry them off. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's get married to their current partner or to find a partner.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Changing career paths or wanting to marry me off. Yeah.
I don't know if that changes anything. But that feels like definitely like a high pressure situation. I don't know how I would handle that,
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are
dreams. Sorry, go
those
ahead.
are two big things: your career and your love life. So that pressure coming down about either of those things would be not helpful. You know what I mean? Like those are things worth taking seriously and then taking your time with if you can. So being rushed or pressured through them, I can see why that would sit in the subconscious and create a monster.
I think the lost
entry.
The lost entry seems relevant. Do you remember what was the environment here? Was it like a city environment?
It sounded like a city park.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing.
So the lost entry reads, to dream of being lost represents your attempt to find your way through a situation that is unfamiliar or making you insecure. You may be experiencing a strange or scary situation that is unsettling because it's new. An overwhelming feeling of confusion or uncertainty in waking life. Not knowing what to do next or where to turn. Feeling that you will never escape a problem or find an answer you need. You're lacking the clarity you want in a situation you are not accustomed to. Wanting clarification in business or spirituality. Feeling that you can't restore your life or relationships to normal no matter what you try. A lack of direction. feeling unprepared for something that you were experiencing, a fear, losing something secure in your life, feeling humiliated and not knowing what to do about it. Yeah, it goes on like that.
There's also like the part of the next part, feeling lost without someone important in your life. I don't know, that like feels like potentially, we don't have any context about that, but that is what I remember about this entry, like resonating for other people when we've read it. So I'm just gonna put that out there in case that does resonate with H.
I think, H expresses having a lot of nightmares and a lot of really negative dreams, it sounds like.
Disturbing. Disturbingly so.
Disturbing dreams, right? Which could mean nothing, right? Could just be the unique way in which H's brain operates, right? And it sounds like H was saying they don't usually engage with their dreams on like an analysis level. They're usually they're more interested in like the story of the dream, which we will have to give the podcast a listen. I want to hear some of these stories
for sure.
But my gut is that if you're having a lot of negative dreams or scary dreams or stressful dreams, that it speaks to like ongoing, like persistent anxiety that's there in your waking life, right? Like your subconscious is trying to like, draw your attention to like an ongoing stress. I don't know what that may be. Might not have anything to do with family pressure. Could be totally unrelated, but something is like a persistent burden is what I would think. And a lot of these entries seem to be pointing towards like kind of a general dissatisfaction or like a general lack of stability, or feelings of like being secure in your place or in the things that you have or what have you. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it does. And I feel like that has been true in times of my life where I've had a lot of nightmares. It's like, it's usually about a persistent stressor. And like, and even when it's not nightmares, like,
weed.
What?
Weed.
There
was, when I went through, I've gone through periods of my life where like smoking weed, which is legal here, would make me super anxious and unhappy and whatever. And I'd go into like stress spirals with it or whatever. And I can see now looking back, like that had to do with, I had like unresolved stuff that was like haunting me in my day-to-day life that I needed to get over. I needed to work on. Right. But it was like when I was in my awake, sober mind, I was like locked into certain grooves of thought or patterns of thought that were keeping me in this bad like headspace or keeping these problems present in my life. And when I would like smoke a little weed, I would like start to spiral out about those things because I wasn't dealing with them. Yeah. But it like pushed me into a place where I was at least like aware enough about them to be miserable, And so in a similar way, it's like maybe in your waking, conscious, sober mind, you feel fine or you feel like, you don't have to worry about that stuff. Like it'll work itself out. But if it is kind of eating at you, then it comes up in other places,
Totally.
And I wondered.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wonder if, because I've also had periods of like very disturbing dreams. They don't seem to be one-offs. They seem to be like a thing that build. And I wonder if your brain can sort of up the ante. Like if it's trying to get you to pay attention to something and you ignore the first one, it's like, okay, well, let's make the next one more disturbing. See if it'll like if that'll grab their attention. If this has been like an ongoing thing for a long time. I don't know, because a lot of these entries, they do seem to be, that we've read, do seem to be about like a general sort of like dissatisfaction or malaise or anxiety. But a lot of them did seem to connect to or reference outside forces putting pressure on the dreamer. Yeah. And we've been connecting that to the context they gave us about their family. But I don't know, maybe it could also be like kind of meta, like the dream referencing itself, like the outside forces putting pressure on H in the stream. Might be those other dreams that are increasingly disturbing and shocking that are trying to get their attention to get them to deal with something.
Yeah.
Or like forces just your subconscious, right?
Right.
Like that I feel like if we've learned something from doing this podcast, that's what your subconscious does. That's what dreams are, is like it's yourself and telling you the things that you already kind of know on some level but aren't quite willing to like fully engage with. We all have that shit. Like I feel like your subconscious and your dreams operates on this like very specific level that is like just what you are probably capable of looking at if you choose to. And like, yeah, I think that every dream is kind of like an invitation to like look at something within yourself that maybe you feel like you want to work on or look at this point in your life, you know?
And it makes sense, right? Because we have all these like conscious mechanisms because we need to stay alive during the day. We need to find food and stay safe. So we have all these like pattern seeking mechanisms during the day that you know can potentially keep us away from like more existential, reflective modes of thinking. You know that maybe aren't like totally useful to survival, and that all goes away when we're vulnerable and asleep.
Yeah, something that I think is like, I don't know. I see this do you see it a lot when like people are really struggling, or I've been like in a place where I'm struggling with something, is like I feel like I need to like really be busy. Like I need to keep myself busy. And that is what that is, right? And the only time you're not busy, if you're in a place where you really feel like you need to be busy all the time, is when you're like at rest, right? And that's, if that's the only time that you allow for that stuff to come through, then check out your dreams.
Or do some mushrooms.
Yeah.
Just manually strip away all those conscious mechanisms.
Yep,
Sure,
that's
yeah.
a good way to do that.
Although if they're having disturbing dreams, I don't know, maybe a mushroom trip would be a fucking nightmare.
Nah.
Nah.
I say do it. Go for it.
There's always a little asterisk next to a mushroom recommendation. It's like, you know, this could ruin or end your life, but it could also do a lot of good stuff for you.
Warning, may see demons.
Nah, they go away. It's fine.
Yeah, most of the time.
Sometimes you need to see them.
And that's the thing. Those are your demons.
I would be really interested. I'm going to have to listen to this podcast. I'd be really interested to hear H's other dreams. And I wonder if you looked at them from an analytical perspective, if certain patterns would emerge. And I imagine that like, if there is something there, like that's where you're going to find it, is in the common threads between those dreams, you know?
I'm sure they know, like if they've been listening to our podcast, I'm sure they know that each of us has that too in our dreams.
Yeah.
That we stumbled into this, and that is something that has been a constant, is that our dreams are about the main thing that we're thinking about, each of us respectively. And I would bet that is the case for most people.
Yeah, I thought there were going to be
But, like,
all kinds of like locked doors, like in my dreams, like deep things that would have taken like years of therapy to uncover. But no, it's usually just the thing that is the most present.
Yeah.
And it evolves too. Like for each of us, like those things have evolved. Like Zach, your work dreams have evolved, like with your new relationship, right? And like my dreams about having kids evolved from should we have kids to all right, we're having kids. And you know,
you really moved away from like some social stress dreams into like parenthood dreams. There was like a strong shift where that stopped being the main thing that was bothering you, and like figuring out how to be a parent became the main thing on your mind.
Well, it's more important.
Yeah, well, some of those are a shift in perspective on the same issue, right? Because a lot of your like early social paradigm dreams were about people pleasing stuff, and now you're still dreaming about people pleasing stuff, but now it's from a perspective of like how do I approach this to benefit the kid or to get in a place that's good for me to raise this kid?
And like boundary setting for myself. Yeah,
Right.
I think like when you find that through line in your dreams, like you can probably trace it back through the like evolution of like self work that you've done on around that issue, you know.
I also just want.
This is a super interesting and vivid dream.
Yeah, I also want to hear more dreams like this. I have to check out their pod, like from a
Yeah.
storytelling perspective. I don't know if they're all spooky, but it is currently November 15th, which means I'm not done with Halloween. So
Right.
And I mean, I guess if you guys disagree with us, say so. But I'd love if we got a nightmare from H, you know?
Yeah, if
This is
this
the
isn't
tame
a
stuff.
nightmare, did they not classify this
Spook
as
us.
a nightmare?
No, they said this is not a nightmare. Their nightmares are far more disturbing than this.
Send us the spooky shit,
They
H.
didn't want to scare us. Yeah.
yeah, we can handle it.
We watch scary
We're
movies.
grown-ups. That's true. We could have a whole nother podcast about horror movies.
Yeah, we really
yeah.
could. Oh, which, by the way, have you seen Talk to Me?
Ooh.
I don't think, is that newer?
Ooh. Yes.
Yes.
It's on Shudder?
No, probably not.
Pay the $5 for it.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Okay, yeah.
You should.
I think that's
good.
I have a list somewhere. I think that's on there.
Yeah.
Move it to the top.
Yeah, it
Okay.
should be at the top of your list. It's very good. Yeah.
Shelby's not, she's becoming a horror movie person, but she historically hasn't been. So I've been trying to introduce her to them.
Doing like a slow boil with her.
Yeah, and figuring out, because there's so many types of horror, you know, not everybody's going to gel with the same stuff, you know.
Right.
Yeah, you can't dive right into the deep end of like Korean horror movies and
Yeah, no.
expect someone to be along for the ride of that.
Like I knew right off the bat, body horror, that is out. Like she's not going to be into anything like that. But I don't know. I found a few. I'm slowly figuring out what her lane is.
Yeah, I'm a ghost guy personally. I like the spooks. I like the haunted. I'm a sucker for a haunted house.
Yeah.
I love a haunted house.
Yeah.
Give me the doors opening by themselves and the chairs stacked on the table. All the good stuff.
I like the ghosts, and I like the like slow burn psychological horror. Yeah.
Yeah. I like a real pants shitter. Like something that like legitimately makes me want to watch it through my fingers.
Yeah, you know those ones where you're watching and you literally like instinctively pull your feet up off the floor.
Yeah. I think
I love that.
the last one to do that to me was Hereditary. I think I watched that with my fists in like boxing position, like I was going to fight the movie.
But yeah, H, let us know what we've said has resonated with you. If you want to like send us a follow-up email and let us know, that would be awesome. We'll read it on the pod. And thank you so much for sending us our very first listener submitted dream.
Thank you.
We're so happy about it. And we hope that more people follow suit. Because, I don't know, it's really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
excited for more.
And anybody that likes this pod, go check it out. It's Just a Dream podcast. Because H has got some spooky dreams for you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can find us on social media at The Young and the Restless Pod and submit your dreams for interpretation to thejungandtherestlesspod at gmail.
And as we always say,
Realize.
Pick you a tiger